If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you need to have this one trait because it is a common trait among a lot of successful business owners. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly what you need to do or to change about yourself to get on the path to becoming a successful business owner. And before I go into it, let me just tell you a couple stories about what's kind of happened in my life, and maybe you can pull out that trait for yourself. When I first decided to go all in on this whole real estate investing thing, I talked to a buddy of mine. He was actually a new friend of mine, and he was young. And he was doing several deals at the time. You know, he's doing crazy deals, he was younger. And I just asked him, like, how are you doing it? Like, what are you doing? And he just told me, like, he had some cold callers. He had 2 cold callers, they're virtual assistants, and that they were doing so much of the cold calling so that he was focused on like actually acquisition. So like locking up the deals himself so that he didn't have to spend all this time cold calling. And at that time, I was doing all my cold calls myself, and I was like, wow, it opened up my eyes, and I did it. Like the very next day, I got cold callers. Well, I got 1 cold caller the very next day, but then the month after that, I got another cold caller because, you know, he said it worked. I was like, okay, like I'll try it too. And like I said, that was the very next day after hearing about cold callers when I hired one. And yeah, it was terrifying at the time because I didn't have any deal flow really coming in, but I did it anyways. Now, just from that story, can you tell what personality trait I'm talking about? And if you can't tell, I'm talking about taking immediate action. A lot of people educate and they always listen to the podcasts or YouTube videos, research online on the internet about what to do, how to be a successful business owner and whatever you're doing. And a lot of people learn about it and they keep learning about it, but they never take action. And the #1 most important trait from a successful entrepreneur is to take immediate action. As soon as you hear something, you know, analyze it for yourself if it's meant for you or if you should do it. And if you can make a quick decision, you gotta be able to decide quickly. So you decide and then you implement. So anyone that hears new information and they can kind of filter it a little bit and then just do it, you're probably gonna end up successful because you don't procrastinate. You take immediate action, you get stuff done, you execute. I've realized that this has become a quality of mine that I've started to admire about myself. This has happened so many times that I can just count on my head. Like one thing, for example, I heard from other real estate investors that you could get a lot of free deals from MLS, from networking with realtors and wholesalers, from social media. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, cool, like, let me do it. So the next day I started calling wholesalers, calling realtors, offering on the MLS, making social media. I took immediate action. That's kind of what I do on everything, if it makes sense. Like, obviously you can't do everything, don't do everything, but gauge the best thing for yourself, educate yourself enough to the point to get all the information so you can make a decision. Same thing happened when I heard it was a good idea to host a meetup. I was like, oh, it's a good idea to host a meetup. Let me throw one together. Put a meetup together, 60 people showed up. It was awesome and it was so helpful. As long as you're taking the advice from the right people, take action on their advice. You mainly want to be taking advice from people ahead of you. And it doesn't necessarily mean ahead of you in all aspects of life or in all the business. Everyone has a certain skill and you want to steal upon people's skill. So if someone's a great salesperson, you can take the sales skill from him, listen to him or her in that aspect because you know that they're an expert on it. If someone's really good at balancing family life with work, take their advice on that stuff. But try to understand what other people's strong suits are and then take from them by just asking the right questions and then taking action on what they say. It is super simple, but it's so overlooked. If you can just take action and do stuff, you're gonna be successful. I don't care what it is. One of the worst things you could possibly do is to never take action. What's the point of reading all the books, all the summaries online, watching all the YouTube videos, listening to all the podcasts, if you're not gonna do anything? You have to do stuff. So there's no point, I think, in educating. Education and knowledge means nothing. It's all about applying the knowledge to get where you wanna go. So if you're watching this video now, don't just listen to what I'm saying and just think, oh, that's pretty good advice, yeah. And then go about your day and do nothing. Listen to this advice and make a conscious decision to act upon new advice that comes your way from people that you respect and admire in certain areas. So the next time you read something in a book or hear something on a podcast, write it down, and make the decision to do that thing either later on that day or immediately. Try to take action as soon as you can too, because I've noticed the longer you put something off, the more likely it's not gonna get done. That happens to me too. Yes, there's a point of prioritizing what you should do first, because there's some tasks are more important, but prioritize those certain tasks, do the important ones, but do them right away. I think another big problem is seeing all the different things you can do and just get information overload. You have so much information, you kind of get this analysis paralysis and you can't do anything. Prioritize, figure out what's most important, and instead of just doing the little task first, do that one big task. Because if you do the one big task, everything else becomes easier and it kind of sets you up for success. So the advice is simple today. Take action, do stuff, execute. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a short one, but if you did, I'd make a lot of other content about real estate, money, and self-development, and I also just document my journey as a young real estate investor and entrepreneur. Please subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you at the next one.